Okay, I'm Amina Kamran, and I am at the moment the acting principal of Aitchison College and the headmistress for Senior School. Yeah, okay, so you've reminded me of a very nice and interesting memory I keep telling our inquiry man. So I came at the inquiry in 2002 and met this guy who gave me a very scary look. He was very, very unfriendly, and he gave me a form which I had to fill up and put all my credentials in. When I looked at the form, and at that particular time I thought, I don't want to teach at a senior school. So I chose preparatory school. So I thought, okay, it has to be my first job, and if it's my first job, I want to start at a younger level. So I checked it and I put all my credentials, all my certificates so far that I had actually been given at my college, Canadian, and I submitted my application. I didn't know if they will call me or not. I got a call from Kids Campus and I had almost accepted the job there. Then I got a call from Zulkadar Saab. He was the headmaster at prep school. And he said, come and meet me. And I on the phone I always have been a very straightforward kind of person. I said, oh, thank you very much, I already have a job. So I think you should call somebody else. He said, no, I think you should come and visit nonetheless. I said, okay. I had a son and I eventually wanted to bring him to Aitchison. So I said, okay, can't actually, start on a bad note with Aitchison College. So I came and met him, and he offered me a job as a mathematics teacher. And at that time, Aitchison had Dr. Kibriya working on a book, mathematics book, particularly for the Aitchisonians. And I was given the chance to work on the book with him. And he said, you will be teaching less but working and doing more of research. That was a very interesting opportunity, so I opted for it. In 2002, I entered Aitchison College as a teacher. So 2003, they were changing the timings, and I was a part-time teacher at prep school. And I opted to leave Aitchison, and I went to grammar school and taught there for about 2.5 years. My son was very young. I didn't want a full-time job at that time. 2006, I came back to senior school, and since then I've been here. And in senior school, I've had different roles to play. After about my 1.5 years, I was made the head of business, accounting and economics by Shamim Saifullah Khan Saab. And then Fakir Saab came and he made me the head of co-curriculars. After that, it's been an upward journey. So when Shamim Saab came back again, and Peter Giddens was the headmaster at that time at senior school. So I was made the deputy at that time. And when Peter left in March, and already Sir Michael was here, so he called me and he offered me the job of headmistress. My great-grandfather was in the Boundary Commission of Pakistan, and he was the first governor of Sindh. At that particular time, the governors of all provinces were the member of the board of the college. So as a child, my father was in the army and we never got a chance to be posted in Lahore, that my brothers could come to Aitchison. But she'd always spoken very fondly of this place. Her chacha, who died at an early age, was also an old Aitchisonian. So Aitchison always had a very positive and a very dear place in my mother's heart, and I'm sure the mothers convert it and share it and pass it on to the children. So that's how the image of Aitchison was very good. There's no normal day. People keep asking me if I'm ever getting bored with my job, and my always reply is that I'm blessed with such wonderful kids that keep us, engrossed in our job and are so innovative that no day is a boring day. So yes, we start at 7 and there's no ending time because, mashallah, the kids are involved in so many different activities, sports and co-curricular. And we all want to, I don't know about everybody else, but I definitely want to be part of them. And I want to stay on till the kids are in school. When all boys actually leave, in initial 2-3 days it's beautiful. Because you're enjoying Aitchison with such quietness and calm, which is so very rare here. And then after 2-3 days, we start missing you guys and we want you back. So anytime anyone requests, can we have a summer camp? Say, yes, please do. Because we want the kids around. And I think, yes, you're very right, it gets boring. Even the housemasters, who actually are working 365 days almost, but all through the year that we have the academic days on, they also after a week say, ma'am, we're missing our boys. I think they should come back. So I think that's the only time we get bored, when the boys are not around. But I came to the education side because that is my passion. I wanted to do I wanted to actually be in the education system. And I realized it after my bachelor's when I had done my BA and was about to join for my master's. In the time frame at that time of point, we used to have about 8 to 9 months where we used to have holidays and the result used to be announced. I worked in a grammar school, boys branch, and I was a grade 3 grade 3 class teacher. And I loved it. And I thought ever in my life if I have to work, and I'm talking about 1996 at this time, I thought anytime I ever worked, it will be in education. So since I sort of joined the education, and this is sort of a passion for me. So I don't think I actually your question was, sorry?
The question was, what was your most significant accomplishment?
So my accomplishment is not where I reach. I see accomplishment as where I make other people reach. Because I believe in a leadership role. You need to create a platform where everybody can excel and reach their potential. So, for example, for me, accomplishment was when from Waziristan a boy reached Dartmouth. For me, the smile on Shahryar's face when he was given the permission to do the documentary and we showed our trust in him. That's my accomplishment. So I see accomplishment in when other peoples are reaching their potential and their dreams. Because I feel that's my job. Me reaching anywhere is with everyone. Because you see, I believe my accomplishment was when 3 of my teachers are at the moment Cambridge trainers. So I feel that I have, alhamdulillah, been able to give them the room, the leaves that they required to reach that level. Alhamdulillah. So that's how I see accomplishment. Before retiring, wow, actually you've talked about something that I don't want to ever do. I don't ever want to retire, because when I plan to think about leaving Aitchison, I plan to still do work in education. And I've been always talking to my boys coming from Quetta and Balochistan that I want to open up a girls' school there. And eventually keep working till the last minute. So, but I think what I wanted to accomplish, and I still want to, and I keep wanting to do it, is passing on the passion to contribute back to the society. To every child that I teach, every person that I come across, I want to share certain values which they'll carry with them. If I'm able to do that, I will feel I've done my bit. I always think of all Aitchisonians as my sons, the ones that I've been teaching in senior school. And I personally believe that unless you truly care, you can't have a bond. And because I always tell the boys, I truly care, I'll always be checking you for all little stuff. And because it is the family that we belong to. So we want our family to be well known outside for their traits, for the way they meet people, they greet people, the way they interact with people. So I personally feel that it is very, very, very important that we leave a lasting impression on the people when we meet. And people talk well about it. So that's one thing that I always want to work towards. I think I was blessed when I say that I've been to many schools since my father was in the army. And I think in every school that I interacted, if I close my eyes, I think I can name definitely one teacher every year that left an impression on me, one way or the other. Maybe being kind, maybe telling a story through a story, telling us what's right, what's wrong, leaving a message. There was definitely one teacher that actually guided us very well. She was younger in age at time, and I was in grade 9 and 10, and she was there for us throughout as a Pakistan studies teacher. And she made sure that there are certain values she tried inculcated in all the girls. I was studying in a co-ed school. So she would make sure that she spends time with the whole class, but she would try and spend time separately with us also. And I think that's what maybe left the impression with me. So when I joined Aitchison in 2006, at that time, teachers didn't used to go and teach in the boarding houses. But I've been a boarder myself in Kinnaird. So I knew the importance of the interaction one has. So I started coming and teaching them in 2007. I used to come on weekends, and I used to teach boarders in Kelly House or in Godley House. And at that time there were only 2 houses. So I used to teach economics of business. And I used to spend, and when I used to come and meet them, I would bring something, made at home. So the boarders loved it. And while they ate, they studied as well. So I got what I wanted and they got what they wanted.
A win-win situation.
Yes. I think it's to be honest, education, in my opinion, is not a degree. Education is education of the mind. Yeah, degrees are for the world to know. But I have met people who've been studying at Lincoln's Inn but still do not know how to behave with their women or how to be a better person of themselves. So I'm sure everybody else has experienced that too. But what I would definitely say is that education over time, we've realized the importance that whether you have a son or a daughter, it doesn't matter. Educating them and getting them ready for the world is important. It is important to realize the opportunities out there are not gender-based. The opportunities out there are for everybody. And if you actually treat your daughters equally important in education as you're treating your sons, you'll be having a better world tomorrow. And I think the approach has changed. I always thank my father because he made sure that even though we were obviously as an army, children, army man children, we were entitled to the army public schools, but he made sure that we went to convents. Whichever city we went to, and if there was a convent, I remember going to Quetta convent, I remember going to Multan convent, and I think the credit goes to my father because our basic education has a greater impact on you. And I think the missionaries have done a wonderful job in Pakistan, sharing the values, giving away the values. So I think education and where you study is very important because that's what makes you, and your formal, your formative years are the initial years. Whatever you've learnt there as a person, you're going to just polish them with time. But your basics have been built there. It is coming to a grand finale of the whole year. You guys have been working on different inter-house competitions, co-curricular and sports. And that's when you actually are there and the Aitchisonian spirit to support the family and support the people who have accomplished something special. So you want to come and share their joy. Aitchison was built initially for the boarders. Boarders were the first. So boarding life in itself, not just for Aitchison, I was a hostelite myself in Kinnaird. And I believe that teaches you a lot. If the resources allowed, I would want every Aitchisonian to spend at least 3 months in the boarding. Why? You learn to live independently. You learn to make decisions. You learn to live with others. When you look at any boarding house at Aitchison College, you will see a blend of students coming from all over Pakistan. And that means they're coming with their own culture, traditions, and their point of views. So if you're able to sit down with them and live with them in the 4 years and create a family there, you'll be able to survive anywhere in the world. And that I'm saying not for Aitchison, but for any boarding. But why Aitchison is different is because, as I've just mentioned, it has a blend from all over Pakistan. Tomorrow when these people, and you guys will be leading inshallah Pakistan, now that's where you need to learn and live with everybody. Get everyone on board. So you've had that experience before. You know how it will work. So that's why I think boarding is very essential. Every time you look at the old building, it shows that Aitchison is something from a different era. The contribution Aitchison has made in Pakistan, and by Aitchison I mean through the Aitchisonians, at different points of life. It is amazing to see that Aitchisonians are excelling in, mashallah, all fields of life. Let it be business, let it be academics, politics, education, and you talk about army, you talk about police, and any field and every field of life in Pakistan, you find Aitchisonians trying to create a mark. So I think history is created through Aitchisonians, not just the building. The building is there to remind you that yes, you belong to the same family. And I believe, and I very strongly keep telling my students, Aitchison is not just because Aitchison is this four-walled institution. Aitchison is what you will create of it. And that is the reason why when we had that video going on of the H2 batch, that was a wrong impression of Aitchisonians that was coming across. I want the people to remember Aitchisonians as humble gentlemen. And when you say gentleman, it encompasses a lot of qualities already. You don't need to define them. If you say something to somebody these days, oh, he's a gentleman, it means you are saying that he is a composed, mature man already. He knows when to speak, he knows when not to speak, he knows how to respect elders, be polite to the younger ones, he knows how to conduct himself, he knows how to dress up, how to walk, and the basic manners are all in place. So by a gentleman, when you say, it defines so much, and that's how I want Aitchsonians to be remembered, as a gentleman and a humble gentleman. My mother used to say, and I always keep it, वो हमेशा कहती हैं कि जिस पौधे पे बहुत ज़्यादा फल लगा होता है ना वो झुका हुआ होता. So I always want to see Aitchsonians like that, accomplished but humble. You see, as a Pakistani and living in the Asian belt, we are very all close to our tradition and culture, and each one of us are influenced by it. So keeping traditions is important, but carrying it one step further and not realizing what things need to be left behind and what needs to be carried with you is again a decision that you have to make as a person. Yes, certain traditions are important, but then there are certain traditions which are actually not letting you excel. Maybe they're too heavy to carry. And when you want to go a long way, you need to travel light. So you need to understand which traditions to keep for the betterment of the people, of yourself and around. So one thing that I personally believe, and I hope that we are able to achieve, that to teach every person we come across is work for the betterment of not only yourself, but people around you and the community you belong to. If you understand that, automatically you'll know which traditions to carry and which ones to leave behind. So when I joined Aitchison many years ago, I remember Shamim Saab saying, "Beta, it is the Eton of Pakistan, not only Pakistan but Asia." So you've given it a Harvard look, but Eton being a high school for students is what I was introduced to as part of Aitchison. I went to these two schools in South Africa. One is 152 years old, which is called Headmistress College. The other one is 10 years younger to us. It's called Michael House. And I was comparing in my mind while I was going around that school, and I was comparing it to Aitchison. Oh, they were covering more area, by the way, than Aitchison does. Beautiful buildings and very nice. Michael House was red brick like we are, and Hilton College was all white and grey. So, but it was beautiful and it was very serene. And at the same time, I felt, Alhamdulillah, it felt a very good feel that Aitchison, in the middle of one of the busiest cities of Lahore, is able to hold itself and is able to create a mark. When you are inside Aitchison, honestly, the noise from outside, I don't know about you, but for me the noise just stops. It doesn't come to you. It happens for you too. So you see, we are so much engrossed in what's happening in Aitchison. I think the outside world just seems to sort of ceases to exist. And you're so much in it, by the time you step out of it, that's the only time you realize, oh, there is a world outside too. So I personally believe that when you compare Aitchison to any institution, it's just not how it. I think Aitchison has created a name for itself, and it is just time that you will realize, inshallah, that with the passage of time you will feel the international presence also. We've never worked on it. Again, as we were just talking about, your rugby team, are you ready to boost about it? Are you trying to keep a low profile? So what do you do? So far we always have tried that. We don't want to blow our own drums about it. But I think a little presence, since as you just started talking initially, you were mentioning social media. So yes, I think a bit of message needs to go out that there's a beautiful existence of a place where people can come. At one point of time, the Malaysian prince used to come and study here. So there must have been something Aitchison would have been doing right. So we want to create that environment again where we talk about teacher exchange, we talk about student exchange. And we open our doors to people outside because we are confident that Aitchison is offering the best facilities that are possible for a young generation. You see, if you compare our labs, if you compare the lab facilities, if you compare the computer lab, I know for schools who have one computer lab and they're running it for every year group, and I'm talking about grade 7 onwards to grade A levels. And I know of schools who have one big lab where they do chemistry, physics, practicals and biology also. You are lucky that you have actually 4 physics labs, you have 5 chemistry labs, you have 3 biology labs, you have 3 computer science labs. It's just that how you use it. Again, it comes to the point of how we're using the whole facilities. Yes, we were using it during COVID. Unfortunately, I think the learning wasn't really happening. But I would want to create, and we've been asking now my teachers to plan out in such a way that every child from C1 is taken to a lab. You need to do things by your hand, by yourself, to create an understanding. When you make a mistake there and then you correct it, that's going to last with you for lifetime, not just your stay at Aitchison. So I think our facilities are amazing with an intervention center now there. Amazingly 4 rooms where you can create and go beyond the curriculum. I think that's amazing, superb. Now all these facilities are just rooms if you don't use them well. And if you put yourself, again, as we just saying, maybe delegate work, try and get things done in those labs, you've taken it to an next height. Actually, it helps you concentrate, because if you look at the learning patterns of kids who are younger, and now, for example, if you look at your junior school, it is divided between lower primary and upper primary. And low primary is grade 1, 2, 3, and they do not have exams like you used to have. So they're now going not for summative exams like half yearlies or final. They're going for formative, that means monthly term tests, and that's it. So I think that helps learning. You're not really learning just to sort of, for reproducing. You're learning, yes, you're learning so that learning can stay with you. So I think with age and time that needs to be separated. As you move towards the senior school from preparatory, it actually says that now at senior school, if you look at your particular pattern in your school at the moment, C1, C2, H1, H2, all have to sit for Cambridge exams. So it's very, 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 very Cambridge oriented. So I think here at Aitchison Senior School, we create the flexibility through our sports and co-curricular. Otherwise, for the curriculum itself, we cannot be flexible, because we can't just add anything we want to because of the kind of, requirements by Cambridge. However, we are thinking of introducing IPQs, and that is International Professional Qualification, where you talk about research and write a 5,000 essay word, which Cambridge will check. And that is because we realized that when you are applying to universities, whether you're applying to UK or US, research is something very important. And we want it to be done properly, again, because the kind of concept or the perception of Pakistan outside is that, the kids can just do it themselves or something. So again, Cambridge endorsement would help in their work being recognized well internationally. So, but still within a subject in academics, for example, we don't have the room to create the flexibility at senior school. The flexibility can only be there till grade 9. And that's where we really need to explore and think about adding. So I was thinking the other day, and I was talking to the headmaster prep school, that we need to think about maybe, other schools are maybe already doing it, but global perspectives for grade 9. Take them and broaden their vision a little. Group work, research work, or it started at that time, and those kids when come to senior school, I think we'll have a better approach. I'm not talking about the learning. Learning is, you guys are all mashallah very good, but we'll just open up the mind a little. We were talking about traditions, and we were talking about carrying the ones we feel are important. I feel co-ed education is important. Yes, I have myself studied in all girls, and I've studied in a co-ed school. And I understand the kind of when we talk about the advantage of a co-ed education is you know how to deal with the other gender, and you know how to be confident enough in moving around with them. Yes. However, I personally believe that whatever your forte is, you should not mix it up with something just because it is the trend, just because it is what is required at the moment. If you look at the Aitchison, our alumni was sort of, used to fall. We didn't used to have events where you used to have interactions. If you look at the number of interactions you guys have at your age, I think that's almost every week. If not every week, I think every alternate week, every child is going out, having that interaction. There were no concept of cafes. Now, if you look around it, every street has at least 5 to 10 cafes. So there's a lot of interaction happening between kids. I understand the co-ed, and I understand KGS, Karachi Grammar School being co-ed and the advantages they have. But I think Aitchison has made its mark with the old boys school. The boys school that I mentioned to you, Hilton College, which is 152 years old, it's an all boys boarding house. And the Michael House that I mentioned to you, again, is an all boys boarding house. And they don't have any plans of going co-ed. And nobody ever asked them that question also. Because I did check with them when I visited. Because this was one thing I knew that people keep asking us. They said, this is an all-boys school. There's an advantage of having that. There is a certain type of education you want to give to your boys before they're ready to go out. And when you go to universities, all universities are co-ed. So yes, at one point of time, I remember Bursar Khalid Sahab mentioning that when he went to government college for initial time period before he went to London School of Economics, that was the first time he ever spoke to a girl. At that time, you didn't have any interactions happening. If I ask a student of C1 now, how many times have you spoken to a girl by the time he reaches C2, that would still at least be more than 10 times. So all we need to do is make sure that our all boys, and that's the reason why we initially started saying, if you're coming to Aitchison, take advantage of all the opportunities it has. Then you would have had a good time. Even if you have a co-ed school, again, and I've been to a co-ed myself for grade 7, 8, 9 and 10. There were girls who never spoke to boys. There were boys who never spoke to girls, not comfortable with talking to each other. That's how some of them are. So you can't really say just co-ed is the best thing to go forward. Why? You know what it is you're offering, you know that you're good at it. I personally believe that you should keep to your forte, and that's your unique selling point. And if I ask today, okay, why can't we have a merger between Pepsi and Coke? Would they be ready for it? They have their own unique selling points.
Very unanswerable question.
They have their own unique selling points. Why can't McDonald's and KFC bring together a business? Why do you want Aitchison to become co-ed? There are culturally things happening. How will you stop them? They're not part of our culture as an Islamic country. They're not part of our culture as a Pakistani society also. But they're there. Nowadays, when you try and teach the basics right to people, they get offended because they do not agree with the kind of concepts or perceptions they have. But we need to understand, what are we representing is an Islamic Republic of Pakistan. And our values and our teachings should reflect that. Why is it that the convents were only for girls at one point of time, and they were fathers and they were missionaries, but they were leading all boys schools at that time? There's a time when you're ready. You said yourself, why have we divided schools into primary and and preparatory and final senior school? There's a reason for that transition. Similarly, there's a reason you will be ready to have that interaction and then go maturely about it at a certain age. Before that, certain things being introduced are there, but you don't know how to handle them well. So I think with age comes the right time to be having that interaction. So be the gentleman I was introduced to. The concept of the gentleman of Aitchison. When I joined Aitchison, we used to have this show called Goa. So when Goa was happening, I remember I asked this question to Shamim Saab. He was the principal at that time. So why do we have the event? He said, it is for the gentlemen of Aitchison. And I remember that we had a visitor, a speaker who had come, and all the school was there, from all the senior school boys. And I remember Shamim Saab going on stage. The boys were talking and they weren't getting quiet. He said, we will not have Goa this year because Goa is for the gentlemen of Aitchison. And you guys are not the gentlemen that I know. So I would request the boys that, and I wish the boys all the success in the world, but I hope that they'll remember to be the gentleman, be humble, be helpful, and be ready to give back to the community they have gained so much from.